Louisiana's coast is starved for sediment. That represents one of the major challenges for planners hoping to rebuild parts of the coast.
But far upriver, John Snell discovered it's a much different story in places like Wisconsin.
It is Crater Island.
On the upper Mississippi, a man-made sand dune becomes a weekend hotspot.
Locally famous for sure.
Chad Baker has been coming to Crater Island, Wisconsin for 30 years.
It's a big party cove, basically. Everybody comes out and parks the boats and hangs out on the sandbars.
This is not the mighty Mississippi that New Orleanians know. You are more likely to see small recreational boats, but the Army Corps does dredge the river for barge traffic to a depth of 11 feet. It creates a new beach at Crater Island or a much larger sand pile at a storage site about a mile downriver on the Minnesota side.
You've got a mountain of sand here behind us.
Yeah, we have a lot of sand here. We got about 200,000 cubic yards right here.
George Stringham with the Corps says each year the St. Paul district alone dredges about 1 million cubic yards of material. Every 4 years or so, that would fill the Superdome. They have so much of it here, they're giving it away.
So basically anybody who wants some can get some.
Yeah, your neighbor could come down here with his pickup truck and get the sand for his kid's sandbox.
7 other large storage sites dot the St. Paul district.
Places like Crater Island, there are about 30 more of those.
In Louisiana's efforts to rebuild its coast, sediment is the other gold. Marsh, ridges, and islands starved for sand.
Obviously, a lot of this material never makes it to New Orleans. In fact, one LSU study found that the Mississippi River in Louisiana contains less than half its historic sediment load.
Modern farming techniques dramatically reduced erosion so the dirt and sand never run off into waterways. And much of it gets trapped behind dozens of locks and dams on the Mississippi and its tributaries.
And what the locks do is they stair step the river off, which makes it easier for navigation. But each one of those steps is effectively a sediment trap.
Man alters the old river in other ways. Hydrologists believe changes in the river's speed affect the flow of sand in the water column. From Vicksburg to Baton Rouge, a giant slug of river sediment steadily works its way south. In the last couple decades, that section of the riverbed has actually risen more than 30 feet.
They're dunes. I mean, they're mega ripples of sand on the bottom of the channel.
Geologist Chris McClendon sees it as a potential source of land. Dredging could mine the river bottom and restore wetlands.
And there isn't really any substantial effort to try to get it out and get it into the marshes. And it may be a cost factor, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's even being discussed.
That's not to say it's all going to waste. At head of passes closer to the mouth of the river, the Corps dredges millions of cubic yards of material annually to keep the Mississippi open to ocean-going ships. The shipping industry estimates over the last decade this beneficial use sculpted over 10,000 acres of wetlands. Yet along much of the river, sediment is a nuisance. The cost of barging it from places like Wisconsin would run into the stratosphere.
At least for the federal government, it's not economically feasible to barge it all down there, although we'd like to.
That giant sand pile far upriver won't go to waste. It's building 60 acres of a riverfront development in the city of La Crosse, Wisconsin, as the sand piles up in places like Crater Island.
From Friday afternoon all the way through the weekend, that thing will be packed with boats till Sunday evening.
John Snell, Fox 8 Local First.
The Army Corps is dredging river in South Louisiana to 55 feet. A spokesman says sand taken from Venice to the mouth of the river will be used to build wetlands.